Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Shireen Bhan. The headlines we're tracking for you this evening. There's been a sharp fall in our markets this Friday. All the gains made the week on the Lal Street being wiped out. The Sensex loses over 1,000 points as all sectoral indices end in the red. The Nifty has lost nearly 2% this week. The new CEO of global logistics major FedEx warns of a worldwide recession. Raj Subramaniam says global shipment volumes are weakening across all segments. FedEx shares plunge after disappointing earnings. Prime Minister Modi pitches for India to become a manufacturing hub at the SCO summit in Uzbekistan. China congratulates India as it gears up to host the summit next year, but no bilateral meeting between Prime Minister Modi and China's Xi Jinping on the sidelines.
Hesitation is what is stopping women from undergoing these trainings, which are so required even for men, not just for women. Many of these independent directors were men, I know what.
Corporate boards cannot continue to be a comfortable men's club, says Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. Says the government can't do any more and it's up to the boards to act. Women hold just 17% of the boardroom seats in India, according to a survey done by Deloitte earlier this year. Officials from the government's industrial research wing knock on the doors of electric vehicle makers. Sources say teams of investigators have started visiting factories to probe if companies are meeting the criteria for subsidies. That's an exclusive. Patanjali Group will take 4 group companies public in the next few years, says founder Baba Ramdev. Plans to go on road shows to the US in November to meet investors, but stops short of giving an exact time frame for potential listings. Holcim Group completes its India disinvestment, closes the sale of its businesses to the Adani Group, resulting in cash proceeds of over $6 billion. Well, let's start with the sell-off that we saw on the Lal Street. The Sensex down over 1,000 points and the Nifty lost over 326 points today as stocks declined across the world. Both major indices have now lost 2% this week and all sectoral indices closing in the red with 48 of the 50 Nifty stocks declining in trade. Prashant Nair is here to wrap up the market action for us. Prashant, a week end for our markets.
Finally, global pressures bore down on the market here as well, and the index ending sharply lower. For the week, I mean, it's not too bad given the magnitude of the fall that we saw on Friday, that is today. For the week, the Nifty was down about 1.7% or so. But some would say it's been coming for a while. The question is what happens. I'll get to that in a bit. Let me just quickly wrap out the day. Market breadth was deeply in the negative, 4:1, declines to advances ratio. So 4 stocks down for every 1 stock which was higher. Broader markets under pressure as a result. The mid-cap and the small-cap parts of the market were down and out. It was a broadly down day. So on the Nifty, names like UPL, Tata Consumer were top losers. IT stocks are finding absolutely no relief, not even bounces. Tech Mahindra, Infosys continue to sell off. Cement names, which did well in the last 2 sessions, also corrected. Ultratech, Grasim cases in point. And autos, which have been, such a strong part of the market, lost as well. Hero MotoCorp, Mahindra and Mahindra, Tata Motors were down. Broader market pressure, of course, quite evident. So tire stocks, which had made big moves yesterday, they mostly all gave up those gains. Vedanta, where there has been a bit of a flip-flop from the management in terms of where the investment in that semiconductor unit is going to come through from. Markets are not like that. That got punished. Names like DLF, Astral, well-traded large names came under a bit of pressure as well. I mean, the point is, there has been this decoupling drumbeat which is carried on, and the markets have rallied quite a bit, even as global markets continue to be under pressure. Next week is an important one. Middle of the week, we get the FOMC decision where, by most estimates, we will get a 75 basis point hike from the US Federal Reserve. So will we enter a phase of consolidation and then come out of it one way or the other post the FOMC? That seems to be the most likely scenario. Back to you.
All right, Prashant, many thanks. So that closes up the week for us. And of course, as Prashant was pointing out, it's going to be a big week for the markets as we move forward. Oil prices dip, extending its weekly losses as fears of an interest rate hike hitting fuel demand outweigh concerns over tighter supply. The International Energy Agency's outlook for almost zero growth in oil demand in Q4 has also dampened sentiment. So that's the crude check for you. But here's the latest macro data from China, which is pointing at a pickup in demand and manufacturing activity despite the COVID shutdowns. Retail sales have grown by 5.4% in the month of August against 2.7% for July and higher than estimates of 3.3% growth. Industrial output has also registered a growth of 4.2% versus the expectation of a 3.8%. However, China's National Bureau of Statistics has cautioned that the foundation of domestic economic recovery is not solid yet. The new CEO of global logistics major FedEx has warned of an impending worldwide recession. Raj Subramaniam, speaking with CNBC's Jim Cramer earlier, said that the company posted disappointing quarterly earnings. He said FedEx is seeing its revenue decline across all segments, adding that the global shipments have been steadily falling over the past few months, and that does not bode well for the world economy. Take a look.
Raj, are we going to a worldwide recession?
Well, I'm not an economist, but you know,
you know more than economists. Come on, they don't. They just push papers. You actually look at papers.
Well, I think so.
You think we are going to a worldwide recession?
I think so. But you know, again, these numbers don't portend very well.
U.S. in the last few weeks as bad as China in the last few weeks.
Yeah, the U.S. Consumer has definitely spending less, but the U.S. has been somewhat insulated because the U.S. dollar is the currency of choice for the world, and there's some insulation there. But I do see the U.S. is slowing down too.
Well, that's FedEx's global CEO. Amidst all of the talk of a global slowdown, India continues to be a bright spot. JP Morgan India says it remains bullish on the country's growth story. JP Morgan's top brass spoke with Lata, and they expect India to outperform despite high oil prices and weak global sentiment. Take a look.
Economies that is decoupled, or at least believed to be decoupled from the troubles of others. And a lot of investors mechanically went underweight India early in the year. Because for 20 years, Lata, the lesson we've learned is that you should sell India when oil prices go up, right? It's worked almost every time. This is the first instance where Indian equities have outperformed despite higher oil prices. And what is happening now is that people are getting pulled into looking at India because it's outperformed.
Because we haven't got a recession, the disinflation may not be as large globally as we had wished and hoped. So you look at the last CPI number in the US, core CPI goes 0.6% month on month. What that means is central banks will have to be more aggressive. India's growth prospects are strong. I think medium-term prospects have been strong for a while. The geopolitics, the fact that, we're friend-shoring, China +1. China is vacating so much space in the labor-intensive export markets of the world, textiles, gems and jewelry. This is our opportunity, and people see that over the next 5 years.
I think India is an important point of discussion in boardrooms because of a set of factors. One, there is slowing global growth, and this is a market that offers huge growth potential. What we see is private equity moving to public markets is a maturity of a company's size and the continuum of what really needs to happen.
Well, that's JP Morgan on the India story, and let's shift focus to the crucial global story. The event in Uzbekistan, the two-day Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit, the SCO Summit, leaders of 8 nations, including India, China, Pakistan, Russia, have assembled for a roundtable. Speaking at the summit, Prime Minister Modi said he wants to transform India into a manufacturing hub. He will hold bilateral talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin, while there is still no clarity on holding talks with Chinese President Xi Jinping. China has supported India as a host country for next year's SCO Summit.
हम भारत को एक मैन्युफैक्चरिंग हब बनाने पर प्रगति कर रहे हैं। भारत का युवा और प्रतिभाशाली वर्कफोर्स को मैं स्वाभाविक रूप से कॉम्पिटिटिव बनाता है। इस वर्ष भारत की अर्थव्यवस्था में 7.5% वृद्धि की आशा है, जो विश्व की बड़ी इकोनॉमीज में सबसे अधिक होगी।
While talking about this conflicts around the globe, Prime Minister also emphasized that diplomacy and dialogues are the only way forward to solve any conflicting issue. India has always maintained that in the context of Russia-Ukraine conflict, that only dialogue and diplomacy will be able to solve this issue, and as soon as the warring side will be able to come and sit down on a table,
issues would be able to be resolved in a very fast manner. Prime Minister has also tried to invite all of the SCO member countries, because India is going to host SCO summit next year in Delhi, and probably we'll also have to see this whole SCO meeting in the context of bilateral relationship of few countries. We know that India and China, India and Pakistan, who have been one of the major partners in the SCO format, they are not at a very comfortable situation right now. But will those bilateral relationship, which is not very good, also impact the SCO's joint mandate or their collective desired goals? That we'll have to see.
Abhishek Jha there reporting from the SCO summit. Back home, Vedanta has clarified that its proposed semiconductor project with Foxconn will be undertaken by its holding company Vulcan Investments and not the listed entity. The clarification comes days after Anil Agarwal perhaps inadvertently told us in an exclusive interview that the listed entity will fund the Vedanta Foxconn joint venture. In fact, when we asked him to clarify in that same interview, he did again reiterate that it would be done via the listed entity. Holcim Group has completed its India disinvestment. The Swiss group has closed the sale of Ambuja Cement and ACC to the Adani Group, resulting in cash proceeds of $6.4 billion. This transaction includes Holcim's entire 63.11% stake in Ambuja Cement, as well as its 4.48% direct stake in ACC. And more corporate voices. In an exclusive interview with CNBC, chairman of the Hinduja Group, Ashok Hinduja, has said that apart from automobiles, the company is focusing at expanding its footprint in the banking and financial services space. He added that going digital and making new electric vehicles is the future.
We are in 11 sectors of businesses. Our focus is more on auto, which is our flagship company here. Ashok Leyland. Our focus is more on banking and financial services. So we are now bidding for other NBFCs, insurance companies. So we are focusing more investment targets here.
Right.
And future is digital, future is new EVs.
Well, the Hinduja Group is looking at NBFCs from an acquisition point of view. That's Ashok Hinduja there. The government's industrial research wing probing whistleblower complaints of EV companies violating norms to avail of subsidies have started visiting factories. Inspections are on to check if subsidized products were indeed made in India. Parikshit joins us now with more. Parikshit, where do things stand?
Well, the scrutiny on Hero Electric, Okinawa and a few other EV players is only intensifying further. Now we're learning that after suspending subsidies, famed subsidies for Okinawa and Hero Electric for the last 3 months because of violation of the domestic value addition criteria, the government is sending ARAI teams to their factories to inspect their supply chains, their products, and to study things to the minutest detail to understand whether the products for which they are taking subsidies are actually made in India or not. So what is being checked is the violation of the phased manufacturing program. We're also told that if lapses are found, then action will also be taken against these companies. There are a few other players which are under the scanner, but we're told that primarily the investigation is about Okinawa and Hero Electric, and especially for the period starting 1st of April FY22. So all the vehicles sold by them over the last 18 months or so are under scanner right now. Hero Electric has also been under investigation by the Directorate of Revenue Intelligence. They have been probing imports of vehicles of parts by Hero Electric between 2014 and 2017, and also between 2017 and 2019. They had imposed a 330 crore fine on Hero Electric. That was challenged by the company, and there is a stay on it for the moment. The government has also been receiving a number of whistleblower complaints against other EV makers, and all of them are being looked at very seriously. In fact, we're told that after these incidents, the government has started looking at the supply chains, the domestic value addition criteria submitted by all EV makers very, very carefully as well. Arun Goyal, the Secretary for Heavy Industries, even told CNBC-TV18 that we're in the process of developing an API for FAME to make the entire system transparent, and we aim to bring this into effect from the 1st of October for all EV makers availing the FAME scheme.
Parikshit, many thanks for joining us. More corporate news. Vodafone Idea has decided not to convert interest on its AGR dues for FY18 and FY19 into equity. The decision is crucial as the government is yet to take a call on conversion of the telecom company's 16,130 crore rupee accrued interest on AGR dues till FY17 into equity. The cash-strapped company has been struggling to retain customers. It's lost over 15 lakh subscribers in the month of July alone. Mankind Pharma has filed its DRHP with market regulator SEBI for its IPO. According to Money Control, the pharma company is looking to raise more than 5,500 crore rupees, making it one of the biggest IPOs in the sector after Gland Pharma. Patanjali founder Ramdev says that they will be taking the 4 group companies public in the next few years, but he has not given an exact time frame for the potential listings. Meanwhile, Patanjali Foods CEO Sanjeev Asthana emphasized on the growing competition in the FMCG space and said the company is ready to expand in the market aggressively.
दूसरा क्रम रहेगा इसमें पतंजलि आयुर्वेद और पतंजलि मेडिसिन, पतंजलि वेलनेस, ये कभी भी कोई भी कर सकते हैं हम, तो एक सीक्वेंस रहेगा, लेकिन एक साल में, डेढ़ साल में बड़े कीर्तिमान पतंजलि ब्रांड चढ़ता जाएगा और इसमें करोड़ों जो इन्वेस्टर्स हैं उनका जो भरोसा है उससे हमें बहुत बड़ी ताकत मिली है और आगे भी मिलेगी और हम उसको डिलीवर करेंगे. मैंने कहा हमेशा, लेस प्रॉमिस ओवर डिलीवरी.
There's a strong, array of companies which are there, and we are doing our own work. They do their own work, and the market is growing overall. So there's a lot of space and room for growth for all the companies. So irrespective, we'll be very supportive of everyone's effort, but we will continue growing ourselves quite aggressively.
Well, that's Patanjali. The government has revised the definition of small companies to reduce their compliance burden. It's tweaked the threshold for paid-up capital to 4 crores from 2 crore rupees, among other measures. The turnover threshold has been increased to 40 crores from 20 crore rupees earlier. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has urged corporate India to increase the representation of women in boardrooms. Speaking at the BSE Women Director Conclave, the Finance Minister said that boards cannot continue to be, and I quote, comfortable men's clubs. Speaking at length on the issue, the minister said, and I quote, I'm not discouraging socialization among male members of boards, but it's a little difficult for women to be a part of the same. She went on to say attempts to evade the mandate of including women in boards are being noticed and being tracked by the government. She continued to say it's a responsibility of companies to ensure that women are given leadership positions. According to a Deloitte survey, women hold just 17% of board seats in India against the global average of 19%.
Boards are quite happy welcoming another professional, a man. I wouldn't say they're unhappy having another professional, a woman, but it's more like you have to go there, you have to say, look, I'm at par with y'all, I know my stuff, I'm talking sense. Why do you need all those riders? Why do you need all those, preambles to your functioning? You wouldn't expect that of a man. Hesitation is what is stopping women from undergoing these trainings, which are so required even for men, not just for women. Many of these independent directors were men, I know what.
That's the finance minister. A ray of hope for the retail sector. Rajendra Kelkar of Phoenix Mills, India's largest listed mall operator, says that footfalls in malls are at 80 to 90% of pre-COVID levels, highlighting that compared to pre-COVID times, the number of serious shoppers are more now.
Footfalls, I would say, as compared to 1920, they have just reached about 80-90% levels. They have not crossed the 1920 levels. This Diwali Christmas season would be, I think, one of the best that people would have seen. Last May, everybody said that this is the best May they have seen in the last 20 years in retail. But I am saying that maybe this October, November would be perhaps much, much better and unprecedented.
Advanced tax collections have shown a healthy trend, growing 22% year-on-year for the period of April to September 15th. Sources also say that gross tax collections have grown by 34%, while refunds grew by 84%. Timsy is standing by with the details on the tax collections so far. Timsy.
Well, that's right. Advanced tax collections are showing healthy trends when it comes to direct tax collections. Remember, 15 September was the deadline to file second quarter advanced tax, and second quarter advanced tax collections are up by 22% at 1.81 lakh crore rupees between April to 15th of September against 1.49 lakh crore rupees during the same period last year. When we see the breakup, corporate tax advance tax number for the second quarter stands at 1.29 lakh crore rupees versus 1.06 lakh crore rupees, showing a growth of 21%. TDS also showing a growth of 35%. Gross tax collections are now up at 7.20 lakh crore rupees, growing by 34%. Refunds too grew by 84%, and net collections are up by 26% at 5.86 lakh crore rupees between April 1st till 15th September 2022. Let's see what is the final number, as these are provisional numbers subject to revision as final collections keep on recording till the end of 16th of September. Back to you.
Timsy, many thanks. Thousands continue to pay their last respects to Queen Elizabeth as she lies in state at Westminster Hall in London. The funeral will take place on Monday. Our colleague Sanjay Suri has more on the coronation of King Charles and also how India never got closure from the Queen for the Jallianwala Bagh massacre and Britain's history of colonization.
By tradition, it's not enough to be king. You need to be proclaimed king ceremonially and dramatically. It's not one of those jobs you just start doing one morning. And Britain, unsurprisingly, has an arrangement in place for this, a two-tier arrangement. First, an accession council will sit and agree that Charles is indeed king. They could hardly do otherwise. And then a full Privy Council meeting will be held in the presence of King Charles III, following which a proclamation will be read out from a balcony at St. James's Palace. And what did Queen Elizabeth make of the colonization of India? Not a word from her on her first visit to India in 1961 or the second in 1983. The third time in 97, she flew into a clamor demanding an apology for the Jallianwala massacre of 1919. She and Prince Philip refused to apologize. All that came was some half-hearted, half measures. She spoke of the difficult episodes of colonization, suggesting the difficulty was no more than episodes and episodic. She said the Jallianwala Bagh killings had been distressing. She offered 30 seconds of silence, not even all of a minute. And that's it. No apology, not a word to condemn General Dyer, who had ordered those killings. And the Indian government only feted her and fussed over her through all these visits. Hunting expeditions were set up for her, ceremonial elephant rides, massive public meetings were arranged, trips set up to Agra, Varanasi, all over the place. She was treated like she was Queen of India. Who could blame her for accepting all that as graciously as she did?
And with that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of Business 360. But on the other side, we'll be joined by our editors, Anuj, Prashant, Sonia, Nimesh, and of course, our very special guest, Rhythm Desai, joins us on our Friday favorite, the Editors Roundtable. That's coming up right after this.